Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, I am going to explain the steps to deploy the Bold Reports report server in Amazon Elastic Kubernetes service with Istio. The report server is an application that provides organizations with an easy and cost-effective way to add reporting capabilities to their existing infrastructure without requiring any development effort. We can create, manage, and share reports easily without having to write any code. One of the major benefits of the report server is that it can be deployed on premises or in the cloud, providing flexibility to organizations. Let's start with the prerequisites required to deploy the report server in the Amazon Elastic Kubernetes service. The hardware requirements are: a CPU with 2 or more cores, at least 4 GB RAM. The software requirements for running the report server are: a database like Microsoft SQL Server 2012 or newer, PostgreSQL, or MySQL. Make sure your database is accessible outside the machine, too. Command line tools, kubectl, AWS CLI, and Istio CTL. A web browser like Microsoft Edge, Mozilla Firefox, or Google Chrome. Now let's start the deployment. I download the highlighted deployment files from Bold Reports Kubernetes GitHub repository. I have provided a link in the description below. For my convenience, I am using Visual Studio Code. You can use your choice of editor. I'll discuss these files and modifications. Deployment contains the configuration to create and manage the pods using a replica set. The destination rule file contains the necessary configuration for the destination rule, including the traffic policy for the associated Kubernetes service. Configuration in HPA is used to automatically increase or decrease the number of pods in response to the workload's CPU or memory consumption. Istio Gateway contains the configuration for the Istio Gateway resource, including the port, protocols, and routing rules to use. The Istio Gateway allows incoming traffic into the cluster and can route the traffic to the appropriate Kubernetes services. Log4netconfig contains configuration settings that are used to view the application logs in your Kubernetes console or store the needed logs in a file. Namespace contain configuration that will be helpful when different teams or projects share a Kubernetes cluster. Next, pvclaim.eks contains the configuration for where we will provide the information for the file system and file share. And service provides a single point of entry for accessing one or more pods. I have already created the Kubernetes cluster and node group to deploy Bold Reports. The next step is to connect with the EKS cluster. I open PowerShell and navigate to the folder where I have downloaded the deployment files. Next, I run this command to configure the AWS. This asks you to enter the AWS access key ID. Here, I enter the ID and press enter. It asks me to enter the AWS secret access key and then the AWS region code. You can get the region code from the AWS website. I enter the default output format as JSON. Next, I need to update the kubeconfig by running this command. Here US East 1 represents the region name, and Bold Reports represents the cluster name. Next, run this command to deploy the CSI driver. It will create all the necessary CSI drivers. Next, I have to configure the file storage for pods. I have created the EFS file system to store the shared folder for application usage. I make a note of the file system ID, which will be used in the next step. I open the pvclaim.eks.yaml file, enter the volume handle ID value with the file system ID, and save it. Next, we need to get the Istio Gateway external IP address. I run this command until I get the IP address. In this demo, I am going to deploy the report server using this IP address. If you would like to set up the report server with a domain, First you need to map the domain name with the IP address, then you can directly add the domain name and TLS secret name in the Istio gateway.yaml file. By default, the application will be hosted in non-SSL mode. If you want to configure SSL, we need to add the domain and SSL configuration in the Istio gateway.yaml file. Before configuring SSL, I need to create the TLS secret with the SSL certificate by running this command. Bold reports TLS is the secret name. This indicates the path for the .pem file and the .crt file path. You should use your domain SSL certificate. Then we need to remove these lines and uncomment these lines. Next, you should replace example.com with your domain name. I am going to deploy the application using the IP address, so I am not doing that. Next, I open the deployment.yaml file and replace the domain, or Istio gateway external IP address in the application base URL. If you want to use third-party data sources like MySQL, Oracle, and PostgreSQL in your report, then you need to install them while deploying the report server. If you want to install more than one client library, then separate each with commas. I am specifying MySQL, Oracle, and PostgreSQL. Then, I run this command to create a namespace for bold reports. Here bold services is my namespace. Next, I run this command for creating the config map. Then I apply the configuration from pv-claim-eks by running this command for creating a persistent volume and persistent volume claim. Then, I apply the configuration in the deployment file by running this command for creating and managing pods with a specified number of replicas and the provided image. Next, I apply the configuration in HPA by running this command for setting up autoscaling for the Kubernetes horizontal pod autoscaler. And then I create all the services by running this command. You can see that the services are created. Next, I apply the configuration in the Istio gateway by running this command to route traffic to services running in the cluster based on their URL paths and hostnames. Then, I run this command to apply the configuration in destination rule. This applies the traffic policies defined in the destination rule to the specified service. Once all the deployment files are applied, we need to check the pod status. To do that, I run this command. We have to wait until all the pods are running. Let me run the command again. You can see all the pods are running. Now, the report server is ready for startup. I open the browser and navigate to the domain or IP address provided in the application base URL to configure the report server. First, we need to activate the Bold Reports account either by using online credentials or by uploading the offline unlock key. You can download the unlock key from your Bold Reports accounts page and upload it here. For this demonstration, I am going to activate it by using online credentials. I click Login to activate the account and enter my Bold Reports credentials. Since I have only one portal license, the portal license selection process was skipped in this setup. If you have more than one portal license, you need to select one. Next, I will configure the administrator user by entering the user information and password. I click the Next button. Here we can configure the database to store the report server data. You can store reports in the SQL Server, PostgreSQL, or MySQL databases. I choose PostgreSQL for this demo, and the fields will be reloaded based on that. I provide the necessary information in the required fields. The New Database option allows you to create a new database. And the Existing Database option allows you to use an old database in the selected server type. I choose New Database. And I provide the database name Bold Services Kubernetes. I turn on the Enable SSL option to make a secure connection using SSL. I click the Next button. The report tenant deployment has started and will run in the background. Next, I click Go to Reports and am redirected to the View All page. Here, the sample reports that are already available with the report server can be added by clicking Explore in the Report Sample pop-up. You will see the list of samples already available. By clicking the Add Report button, you can add these reports to the report server. The reports will be added under the Sample Reports category. Clicking on an added report will open it in the report server. Now, I'll open the Share Data Source Data Connector page. You can see third-party data sources like MySQL, Oracle, and PostgreSQL. The final configuration of the Bold Reports report server with visualization reports items such as charts and gauges will not be available for exporting. To export data visualization report items when scheduling reports, we need to install the PhantomJS client library in our report server. PhantomJS is a headless WebKit scriptable with JavaScript. I'll show you how to install it, but first, we need to bash our container. I run this command to get the available container. Next, I run this command to open the shell running in the Reports Web Deployment container. Reports Web Deployment is the pod name, and Bold Services is the namespace. Now we will be inside our container. We need to change the current directory to /application/app_data/optional libs by running this command. Then, I install the sudo and get tools. Once those are installed, I have to install some required packages before I can install PhantomJS. I run this command. Next, I download the latest stable version of PhantomJS from the official website by running this command. Once the download is complete, I extract the downloaded archive file to the desired system location by running this command. It extracts the downloaded file and moves it to the /usr/local/share directory. Next, I create a symlink of the PhantomJS binary file in the system's bin directory by running this command. I verify whether PhantomJS is installed properly by running this command. If it shows the version number, then PhantomJS is installed properly. I reload the browser and export the report that has charts. Open the exported file, and you will see the charts are exported. In this video, I introduced the Bold Reports report server, covered the steps to deploy the report server on the Amazon Elastic Kubernetes service, and then the steps to add optional client libraries. Lastly, we discussed the steps to install PhantomJS in the deployed application to export the data visualization report items when scheduling. If you found this video useful, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.